Have you ever wondered why some people can simply whisper a word to themselves, and their headache vanishes, their anxiety melts away, or their chronic pain just disappears? Well, you've tried everything: pills, therapies, treatments, and nothing seems to stick? My dear friend, what if I told you that your subconscious mind is listening to you every single second of every single day, but you've been speaking to it in a language it cannot understand? Tonight, I'm going to share with you a 3-second technique that I discovered over 50 years of research, something so simple it sounds almost foolish, yet so powerful, that it can reprogram the very cells of your body. This isn't wishful thinking. This is scientific truth, wrapped in ancient wisdom. Now, before we go any further, I want you to know exactly what you're going to receive in the next hour and 20 minutes together, because your time is precious, and I respect that. I'm not here to waste a single moment of your life. I'm here to give you something that can change everything. You've tried everything, haven't you? The medications with their side effects. The therapies that work for a while and then stop. The positive thinking that feels like you're lying to yourself. The affirmations that sound hollow when your body is screaming in pain. You've probably been told that your condition is chronic, that you'll just have to manage it, that healing is impossible. And maybe you've even started to believe it. You wake up in the morning, and before you even open your eyes, you're already negotiating with your body: how much pain today? How much energy do I have? What can I avoid doing? You've read the books, watched the videos, tried to think positive, but when you're lying in bed at 3 in the morning with that pain or that anxiety or that symptom, all that positive thinking feels like a cruel joke. But what if I told you that by the end of this video, you will understand why your body has been immune to all your efforts until now, and it has nothing to do with your willpower or worthiness. You'll understand the exact neurological and spiritual mechanism that allows a 3-second whisper to reprogram years of conditioning. You'll understand why effort is the enemy of healing, and how the people who heal fastest are the ones who learn to do less, not more. You'll learn the specific words and the specific tone that your subconscious mind recognizes as truth. And you'll learn how to identify when you're speaking your body's language versus when you're just making noise. My dear friend, I've spent over 5 decades studying the subconscious mind. I've counseled thousands of people, from housewives to CEOs, from teenagers to elderly men and women facing their final days. I've seen cancers disappear, paralysis reverse, depression lift like morning fog. But more importantly, I've also seen what doesn't work. I've seen people torture themselves with techniques that only make things worse. So, what I'm sharing tonight isn't theory. This is distilled wisdom from 50 years of watching what actually works versus what simply sounds good. Now, let me be completely honest with you about what this is not. This is not think positive and ignore your problems. That's spiritual bypassing, and it's dangerous. This is not about forcing yourself to feel something you don't feel. That's violence against yourself. This is not an instant miracle cure. Healing has its own timeline, and we must respect that. This is not about blaming yourself for being sick. You did not consciously create your illness. This is not a replacement for medical care. It's a partnership with your body's own wisdom. What this is the missing piece. You see, most people approach their subconscious mind like it's a vending machine. Put in the right words, get out the healing, but your subconscious mind is more like a garden. It needs the right seeds, yes, but it also needs the right soil, the right atmosphere, the right timing. The 3-second whisper method works because it aligns with exactly how your subconscious mind naturally operates: through feeling, through repetition, through gentle persistence, and most importantly, through a language it already knows. I know what it's like to feel trapped in your own body. I know the exhaustion of trying and failing. I know the loneliness of suffering while everyone around you goes on with their lives. I know the anger at a body that won't cooperate, at a mind that won't heal. But I also know something else. I know that the very intelligence that created your body from 2 cells, that knits your bones and heals your wounds, without any conscious effort from you, is still there. It never left. It's just been receiving the wrong instructions. Tonight, we're going to give it new instructions. And we're going to do it so gently, so naturally, that your conscious mind won't even try to interfere. By the time we finish our time together tonight, you will walk away with a complete understanding of why your previous attempts haven't worked. You'll have the exact 3-second technique, word for word, with the proper feeling and intention. You'll hear multiple real-life examples of how this has worked for others. You'll have a practical daily routine that takes less than 5 minutes total. You'll have the ability to customize this method for your specific condition. And most importantly, hope. Real hope. The kind that's based on understanding, not just wishful thinking. So if you're ready, if you're willing to set aside everything you think you know about healing for the next hour and 20 minutes, and approach this with a beginner's mind, then let's begin. Because the whisper that will change your life is simpler than you ever imagined. But it requires us to go deep to understand why it works. Shall we? Now, I could simply tell you the technique right now. I could give you the 3-second formula and send you on your way. But if I did that, you'd try it for 3 days, see no results, and quit. So instead, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to show you the principle in action, through the lives of real people. And as you hear their stories, something will shift inside you. You'll begin to believe not because I tell you to, but because you'll see the pattern, the truth that cannot be denied. Let me tell you about a woman I met in San Francisco, in the late 1960s. We'll call her Margaret. Margaret came to one of my lectures, on a rainy Tuesday evening. I remember, because she was the last person to leave, and she waited until everyone else had gone before approaching me. Her hands were shaking. She was 43 years old, but she looked older, worn down by suffering. She had been diagnosed with a fibroid tumor the size of a grapefruit. Her doctors had recommended immediate surgery, and she was terrified, not just of the surgery itself, but of what it meant that her body had betrayed her, that something was growing inside her that didn't belong there. She told me she'd been saying affirmations for weeks. Every morning, she'd stand in front of the mirror and say, "Tumor, go away. I command you to leave my body." She'd say it with force, with determination, with all the willpower she could muster, and nothing happened. In fact, she said the tumor seemed to be growing faster. She felt like a failure. She felt like even God had abandoned her. I asked her to sit down, and I said, "Margaret, do you speak to your tumor, or do you speak to your body's healing intelligence?" She looked at me confused. "What's the difference?" she asked. And that's when I knew we had work to do. You see, Margaret had been fighting. She'd been going to war with her own body. Every time she said, "Tumor, go away," she was acknowledging the tumor, focusing on it, giving it power. She was speaking the language of fear and force. And your subconscious mind, my friend, does not respond to fear and force. It responds to love and faith. I taught her something that night. Instead of commanding the tumor to leave, instead of fighting against what she didn't want, I taught her to whisper to what she did want. I taught her to speak to the intelligence within her cells, the intelligence that knows how to create perfect health. Her whisper was simple. Every cell knows perfect health. Not said to the tumor. Said to her body's wisdom. Not said with force. Whispered with gratitude. As if it were already true. 3 seconds. That's all. Every cell knows perfect health. And I told her to do this twice a day. Once upon waking, when her conscious mind was still drowsy, and her subconscious was most receptive. Once before sleep, when the gatekeeper of her conscious mind was releasing control. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "That's it? That's all?" And I smiled and said, "That's all. But you must do it with feeling, you must feel the truth of it in your bones. Don't hope it's true. Know it's true. Your cells do know perfect health. They've been building and rebuilding your body since you were born. They just need to be reminded." The first week, nothing changed in her body. But something changed in Margaret. She told me later that she felt different inside. Calmer. Less at war with herself. She stopped checking for the tumor every hour. She stopped lying awake at night, imagining the worst. She simply whispered, trusted, and let go. By week 3, she was sleeping through the night for the first time in months. Her anxiety had melted away. She felt more energy. But still, the tumor was there. A lesser person would have quit. But Margaret had faith. Not blind faith. Informed faith. She understood the principle. She understood that her subconscious mind was working beneath the surface. That healing doesn't always announce itself with trumpets and fanfare. At her 6-week follow-up exam, the doctor came into the room with a puzzled look on his face. "The tumor," he said, "has shrunk by 40%. I don't understand it. We need to monitor this closely." Margaret just smiled. She knew what was happening. Her body was listening. Finally, after years of being shouted at, commanded, feared, it was being spoken to in a language it understood. 4 months later, Margaret returned for another exam. The doctor did the ultrasound twice, because he couldn't believe what he was seeing. The tumor was completely gone. Not shrunk. Gone. He asked her what she'd been doing. She said, "I've been whispering to my cells." He looked at her like she was crazy. He wrote it off as a spontaneous remission, a medical mystery. "But you and I know better, don't we?" Margaret came to see me one last time after that. She held my hands and she said, "Dr. Murphy, I don't just feel physically healed. I feel like I've learned how to live. I spent 43 years fighting my body, trying to control it, fearing it. And in 4 months, I learned to love it, to trust it, to speak to it with kindness. That tumor wasn't my enemy, it was a message. It was my body screaming, 'Please stop fighting me, please speak to me with love.' Can you feel the truth of that, my friend?" Margaret didn't heal because she found the right magic words. She healed because she changed the relationship she had with her own body. She stopped being at war, and started being in partnership. The 3-second whisper was the bridge. It was how she crossed from fear to faith, from force to flow. Now, you might be thinking, "That's wonderful, Dr. Murphy, but that was a tumor. What about conditions that involve pain or mental suffering?" Let me tell you about a man who came to me with a condition that was destroying his life from the inside out. His name was Robert. He was a Korean War veteran, mid-40s, and he hadn't slept properly in 15 years. 15 years. Can you imagine? Every night was a battle. He'd lie down, exhausted to his bones, and his mind would race. When he did fall asleep, he'd wake up every hour, sometimes in a cold sweat from nightmares. He'd tried every medication. He'd been to sleep clinics. He'd tried meditation, warm milk, counting sheep, everything. Nothing worked. His marriage was falling apart. He was losing his job because he couldn't focus. He came to me as a last resort. And he was angry. Angry at his body. Angry at the world. Angry at God. He sat down in my office and he said, "Doc, I don't believe in this mumbo-jumbo, but I'm out of options. If I don't sleep soon, I don't know what I'm going to do." I could see the desperation in his eyes. This was a man on the edge. I asked him, "Robert, do you believe your body wants to sleep?" He paused. He'd never thought about it that way. I said it again. "Your body wants to sleep. Sleep is natural. Sleep is what your body is designed to do. You're not broken. You're just interfering with a natural process." He looked at me and said, "Interfering? How?" And I said, "By fighting. Every night, you lie down and you try to force yourself to sleep. You command it. You beg for it. You get angry when it doesn't come. And what does your subconscious mind hear? It hears, 'Sleep is hard. Sleep is a battle. Sleep is something I have to fight for.' So it obeys. It makes sleep hard." Robert sat back in his chair. I could see something clicking in his mind. I continued, "You've been giving your subconscious mind the instruction that sleep is difficult. Now we're going to give it a new instruction. Deep rest is my natural state." That was his whisper. Not "I will sleep." Not "I want to sleep." Deep rest is my natural state. Present tense. A statement of truth. But here's the key, Robert. You don't say this in bed. You don't say it when you're desperate and frustrated and lying there at 3 in the morning. You say it in the morning, when you feel calm. You say it in the afternoon when you're relaxed. You program your subconscious, when your conscious mind isn't fighting you. And you say it with the feeling of already being well rested. Close your eyes, remember what it felt like when you were young and sleep came easily, and speak from that feeling. Robert was skeptical, but he was also desperate. He agreed to try it. The first night, he slept 3 hours straight. 3 hours. He called me the next day almost in tears. "Dr. Murphy," he said, I slept. It wasn't much, but it was more than I've slept in years. I told him, don't focus on the hours. Don't measure it. Don't analyze it. Just keep whispering. Trust the process. By the end of the first week, something remarkable happened. Robert started napping in the afternoon. He'd never been able to nap, not once in 15 years. But suddenly, he'd lie down on the couch and drift off for 20 minutes. His body was remembering how to rest. Within a month, he was sleeping 6 to 7 hours regularly. No medication. No fancy techniques. Just a 3-second whisper, twice a day, spoken with faith. When he came back to see me, he looked like a different man. Younger. Lighter. His eyes were clear. And he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Dr. Murphy, I was trying to force my body to do what it naturally wanted to do. The whisper let me stop interfering. I got out of my own way. That's the secret, my friend. So often, we're not lacking something. We're doing too much. We're interfering with the natural intelligence of our body. The 3-second whisper isn't about adding more effort. It's about removing the obstacles we've placed in our own path. It's about stepping aside and letting the healing intelligence that's always been there do its work. Are you beginning to see the pattern, my dear friend? Whether it's a physical condition or a mental one, the principle is the same. But let me share one more story, because I want you to understand that this works even when the condition seems absolutely impossible to change. There was a 10-year-old boy named Danny. His mother brought him to me in tears. Danny had a severe stutter. Not just a mild hesitation, but a stutter so bad he could barely get through a sentence. He'd been in speech therapy for years with minimal progress. The other children at school mocked him. He was growing more withdrawn, more silent, developing anxiety and social phobia. His mother said, "Dr. Murphy, I'm watching my son disappear. He used to be so joyful, so talkative. Now he barely speaks at all." She looked at me with desperation and said, "He's just a child. He won't understand this subconscious mind stuff." And I smiled and I said, "Children are the best at this. They haven't yet learned to disbelieve." I knelt down so I was eye level with Danny. I said, "Danny, we're going to play a game. We're going to tell your voice a secret. A special secret that only you and your voice know." He looked at me with big, curious eyes. I said, "The secret is this. My words flow like water. Can you say that with me?" He tried. It came out halting, broken. I said, "That's okay. You don't have to say it out loud. You can whisper it. You can even just think it really quietly. But I want you to do it twice a day. Once when you wake up, once before you sleep. And I want you to imagine your words are like a river, flowing smooth and easy." Then I told his mother, "Make it a game. Have him whisper it while he's petting the dog. While he's drawing. While he's calm and happy. No pressure. No performance. Don't check if his speech is getting better. Don't ask him if he practiced. Just let him do it in his own time, in his own way." Within weeks, the stutter began to soften in private moments. When Danny was relaxed, talking to his mother at home, the words came more easily. Within 2 months, he was speaking clearly with his family. Within 4 months, he read aloud in class without stuttering, and within 6 months, his speech was completely fluent. The speech therapist called it a miracle. But it wasn't a miracle. It was the natural result of speaking to the subconscious mind in its own language. But here's what touched me most. Danny's mother told me that it wasn't just his speech that changed. His whole personality changed. He became confident again. Joyful. He made friends. He laughed easily. Because the stutter wasn't just a speech problem. It was connected to how he saw himself. When we changed what he whispered to his subconscious, "My words flow like water," we changed his entire self-concept. Children heal faster than adults. You know why? Because they don't overthink. They don't question whether it will work. They don't analyze and doubt and worry. They simply accept, trust, and believe. And that, my friend, is the state we must return to. Not childish. Childlike. There's a difference. Childish is immature. Childlike is innocent faith. These three stories share something in common beyond the 3-second whisper. They share a principle, a law of mind and body that operates, whether you believe in it or not. Now it's time for us to go deeper. It's time to understand the why behind the how. Because when you understand why this works, your faith becomes unshakable. And that faith is what carries the whisper from your lips to your cells. Can you feel it? Can you sense that there's a law at work here? Something deeper than coincidence. These people didn't get lucky. They tapped into something real, something scientific, something spiritual. And now it's time for you to understand that law completely. The first thing you must understand is this. Your subconscious mind does not understand English, French, or Chinese. It understands only one universal language, the language of feeling. Let me say that again, because this is the foundation of everything. Your subconscious mind speaks the language of feeling. What does that mean? It means that your subconscious mind doesn't respond to the words you say. It responds to the emotion behind those words. It responds to the feeling, the vibration, the energy that accompanies your words. This is why affirmations fail for most people. They say the words, but they don't feel the truth of the words. They say I am healthy while feeling sick. They say I am abundant while feeling poor. And the subconscious mind receives a mixed message. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Think about it. When you learn something deeply, when something becomes part of you, it's always connected to emotion. You remember the day you fell in love because of the feeling. You remember a traumatic event because of the feeling. The subconscious records information through emotional intensity. That's how memory works. That's how belief works. That's how healing works. So, when you whisper to your subconscious mind, you must feel the words as true. Not hope they become true. Not wish they were true. Feel them as already true. This is the secret. This is what Margaret understood. This is what Robert learned. This is what little Danny did naturally. Now, I can hear you thinking, but Dr. Murphy, how can I feel healthy when I'm in pain? How can I feel peaceful when I'm anxious? How can I feel rested when I'm exhausted? This is the art, my friend. You're not lying to yourself. You're not denying reality. You're connecting to a deeper truth. Here's how you do it. When you whisper, every cell knows perfect health. You're not saying your symptoms aren't real. You're connecting to the intelligence within your cells that does know how to create health. That intelligence is real. It's been keeping you alive since you were born. You simply focus on that intelligence, that wisdom, and you speak to it with gratitude for what it's already doing. The feeling isn't fake positivity. The feeling is genuine appreciation for the healing intelligence that's always working. Let me give you a scientific angle on this. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experience and real experience. Studies have shown this again and again. When you imagine eating a lemon, your mouth produces saliva. When you imagine running, the same neural pathways fire as when you actually run. Your subconscious mind accepts the imagined experience as real, if the feeling is strong enough. So when you whisper with feeling, with the sensory experience of health, or peace, or rest, your subconscious mind begins to create that reality in your body. It sends signals to your nervous system, your immune system, your endocrine system. It releases healing chemicals. It redirects energy. It does all of this automatically, beneath your conscious awareness, because that's its job. Your job is simply to give it the right instructions through feeling. Here's the spiritual angle. Faith, real faith, is not intellectual belief. Faith is feeling. When Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe," he didn't mean believe in your head. He meant, believe in your heart, in your gut, in your whole being. That's feeling. The great mystics throughout history knew this. They didn't pray with words alone, they prayed with feeling. They became one with what they were praying for. And here's the practical angle. Test this right now. Say the words, "I am peaceful," with a tight jaw and clenched fists. Now say the same words with a soft face, relaxed shoulders, and a gentle breath. Feel the difference. Your body responded to the second one. Your nervous system relaxed. That's because the feeling matched the words. Your subconscious mind heard the message clearly. So when you practice your 3-second whisper, it's not about saying the words perfectly, it's about feeling them truly. Even for just 3 seconds. That's all your subconscious needs. 3 seconds of clear, felt communication. 3 seconds where there's no doubt, no analysis, no interference from your conscious mind. Just pure, simple truth spoken with feeling. Your body doesn't hear what you say, my friend. Your body feels what you mean. Remember that. Write it down. Your body feels what you mean. Now let me teach you something that sounds contradictory, but is absolutely essential. The law of reversed effort. This is going to change everything for you. Here it is. The harder you try to force healing, the more you tell your subconscious mind that healing is difficult and far away. Effort implies struggle. Struggle implies difficulty. And when you approach your healing with gritted teeth and sheer willpower, your subconscious mind receives the message. This is hard. This requires tremendous effort. This is far from my natural state. And so it creates more difficulty. It makes healing harder because it's simply obeying your instructions. This is why people who try so hard often see the least results. They're working against themselves. They're creating resistance while seeking flow. It's like trying to fall asleep by trying really hard to fall asleep. The trying keeps you awake. The effort prevents the very thing you're seeking. The ancient Taoists understood this. They called it Wu Wei, effortless action. Not inaction, but action without force. Like water flowing around a rock. The water doesn't try. It simply flows. Yet over time, it shapes the rock. That's the power of gentle persistence over forceful effort. Why is this? Because your nervous system cannot heal when it's in a state of stress. When you're forcing, trying, gritting your teeth, pushing, your body is in fight or flight mode. Your stress hormones are elevated. Your immune system is suppressed. Your body's energy goes towards survival, not healing. But when you're relaxed, when you're at peace, when you're trusting, your body shifts into rest and digest mode. That's when healing happens. That's when your immune system is most active. That's when your cells can repair and regenerate. Let me give you some real examples. You cannot force yourself to sleep. The trying keeps you awake. You must relax into sleep. You cannot force yourself to stop being anxious. The effort creates more anxiety. You must allow peace to arise. You cannot force a wound to heal faster. You must give it time, rest, proper care, and trust. This is what Robert the veteran discovered. He'd been trying to force himself to sleep for 15 years, using every ounce of willpower. And it kept him awake. When he learned to whisper, deep rest is my natural state, with ease, with trust, with no effort at all, his body finally relaxed. It finally received permission to do what it had wanted to do all along. This is what Margaret discovered too. She'd been fighting her tumor with force and fear. When she learned to whisper with gentleness and faith, her body stopped defending itself and started healing itself. Fighting creates resistance. Allowing creates flow. So the 3-second whisper works not just because of what you say, but because of how you say it. You whisper. You don't shout. You don't command. You don't force. You whisper with the gentleness you'd use with a beloved child. You whisper with trust, with ease, with the feeling that this is natural, this is simple, this is already happening. And here's the beautiful part. 3 seconds is so brief that you don't have time to build up effort. You don't have time to strain. You simply whisper and release. Whisper and release. Like planting a seed. You don't dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. You plant it. You water it. You trust it. The growing happens beneath the surface. In its own time, through natural law. The master heals without effort because he knows effort is resistance, dressed up as action. Remember that, my friend. Healing comes through allowing, not forcing, through trust, not trying, through gentle persistence, not violent willpower. Now let me tell you something that might shock you. But it's absolutely true. Your body is always listening. Every single moment. Every thought you think. Every word you speak. Every feeling you feel is an instruction to your cells. Your subconscious mind never sleeps. It never takes a vacation. It's recording and responding 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the moment you're born until the moment you die. This is wonderful news and sobering news. It's wonderful because it means you have constant access to reprogram your subconscious. It's sobering because it means you've been programming it unconsciously your whole life, mostly with messages you didn't even know you were sending. Think about the things you say habitually. I'm so tired. This pain is killing me. I'm always sick. I can't handle stress. I'm getting old. I'm falling apart. Every single one of these statements is an instruction to your body. And your body, being the faithful servant it is, obeys. It creates more tiredness, more pain, more sickness, more stress, more aging, more falling apart. Not because it wants to harm you, but because it's doing exactly what you told it to do. Your body is the most faithful servant you'll ever have. It obeys every order you give it, even the ones you didn't know you were giving. Let that sink in. Your body has been listening to your habitual thoughts and words and feelings for years, for decades, and it has been faithfully creating the reality you've been describing. Now, before you start feeling guilty or upset, understand this. You didn't know. You weren't doing it consciously. No one taught you how powerful your words are. No one taught you that your subconscious is always listening. So there's no blame here. No shame. Just awareness. Just the opportunity to begin speaking more consciously. This is why the 3-second whisper is so powerful. It begins to override years of unconscious programming. But it only works if you also become aware of your habitual language throughout the day. Not in a harsh, judgmental way. Not beating yourself up every time you say something negative. But in a gentle, mindful way. Catching yourself and redirecting. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm so tired," pause. Take a breath. Reframe it gently. "I'm resting and restoring my energy." When you catch yourself saying, "This pain is unbearable," pause and reframe. "My body is working to heal this." Do you see the difference? You're not denying reality. You're not pretending everything is perfect. You're simply speaking to your body as a partner, not an enemy. Here's a practice I want you to start today. Once a day, do a gratitude scan of your body. Sit quietly for just 1 minute. Close your eyes. Scan through your body and find one thing to appreciate. Maybe it's your eyes that let you see the beauty of the world. Maybe it's your heart that beats faithfully without you ever asking it to. Maybe it's your lungs that breathe life into you moment by moment. Find one thing and whisper, "Thank you." This simple practice does something profound. It shifts your relationship with your body from adversarial to appreciative. Your body feels this shift. And when your body feels appreciated, it responds with more health, more vitality, more cooperation. It's like any relationship. When you criticize constantly, the other person withdraws. When you appreciate constantly, the other person blooms. Remember, your body is always listening. So make sure what it's hearing is love, not war. Make sure it's hearing partnership, not blame. Make sure it's hearing faith, not fear. Now, let me address something that might be confusing you. What's the difference between hoping and knowing? Because this distinction is crucial to your healing. Hope is future-focused and contains doubt. When you hope something will happen, you're saying, "Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I wish it would, I want it to. But I'm not sure." Hope lives in the future. Hope contains uncertainty. And your subconscious mind feels that uncertainty as lack of faith. Knowing is present-focused and contains certainty. When you know something, there's no question. There's no maybe. It simply is. Knowing lives in the now. Knowing contains absolute certainty. And your subconscious mind responds to that certainty with action. Think about the things you know for certain. You know the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't hope it will. You know it will. You don't lie awake worrying. What if the sun doesn't come up? You simply know. And there's peace in that knowing. There's rest in that certainty. This is the state we must cultivate with our healing. Not hoping we'll get better. Knowing we're getting better. Not wishing our body would heal. Knowing our body is healing. Knowing our body is healing. Can you feel the difference in those statements? One feels tentative, uncertain, far away. The other feels solid, certain, immediate. But here's the problem most people face. How do you know something before you see evidence of it? How do you be certain of healing when your body still hurts? This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith. Informed faith. Faith based on understanding. You can know that your body is healing even before you see evidence, because you understand the principle. You understand that your subconscious mind is responding to your whisper. You understand that healing happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. You understand that every cell in your body has intelligence, and that intelligence knows how to create health. This is like planting a seed. The farmer doesn't dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. He knows it's growing even though he can't see it yet. He knows because he understands the law of growth. He planted the seed, he watered it, he gave it sunlight, and now he knows with absolute certainty that growth is happening beneath the soil. That's the knowing I'm talking about. Not based on what you see, but based on what you understand. Not based on current symptoms, but based on eternal law. Your subconscious mind responds to clear instructions, given with feeling. That's law. That's how it works. You gave the instruction through your whisper. You gave it with feeling. Therefore, healing is happening. You know this not because you hope it, but because you understand the mechanism. Here's how to build this knowing. Start with something small, something you can believe even in your current state. You might not be able to believe, I am completely healed, if you're in terrible pain. That feels like a lie. But can you believe? Every cell in my body has intelligence. Yes, you can. That's factually true. Can you believe? My body has healed countless cuts and bruises in my lifetime? Yes, you can. That's your experience. Start there. Build your faith on what you can truly accept. Then, as you see small improvements, your faith grows. As your faith grows, your knowing deepens. As your knowing deepens, your healing accelerates. It's a beautiful upward spiral, and the whisper, repeated thousands of times over weeks and months, moves from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind. It becomes part of your belief system, and eventually, you don't have to try to believe anymore. You just know. The whisper has become your truth. Hope is the seed. Knowing is the harvest. The whisper is the watering that transforms one into the other. Be patient with yourself. Faith grows the same way a tree grows slowly, steadily, with proper nourishment. Now you might be wondering, why specifically 3 seconds? Why not 10 seconds? Or 30 seconds? Or a whole minute of affirmation? Let me explain the science and the magic of brevity. 3 seconds is the perfect length, because it matches the attention span where you can maintain pure, undiluted feeling. Any longer and your conscious mind starts to interfere. Any longer and you start to analyze, question, doubt. Any longer and the feeling begins to weaken. 3 seconds is the sweet spot where you can say your phrase with complete focus and complete feeling and then release it before your conscious mind has a chance to sabotage it. Think about the most powerful mantras throughout spiritual traditions. Om. Just 1 syllable. Amen. 2 syllables. Shalom. 2 syllables. These aren't long speeches. They're brief, powerful, concentrated expressions of truth. They're designed to be repeated easily, to slip past the intellectual mind, and go straight into the heart. The practical magic of 3 seconds is that anyone can do it. You cannot tell me you don't have 3 seconds. You cannot tell me you can't maintain focus for 3 seconds. You cannot tell me you're too busy for 3 seconds. There is no excuse that holds up against 3 seconds. And yet, 3 seconds done twice daily, with faith, with feeling, with consistency, can reprogram a lifetime of unconscious conditioning. Let's do the math. 3 seconds in the morning, 3 seconds in the evening. That's 6 seconds per day. 42 seconds per week. About 3 minutes per year. And in those 3 minutes, scattered across 365 days, you can completely transform your health, your mind, your life. Is there any investment that gives a greater return? But the power isn't just in the brevity. The power is in the accumulation. It's like drops of water wearing away stone. One drop does nothing, but drops, repeated over time, can carve canyons. Your whisper is a drop of healing truth. Repeated day after day, it carves new pathways in your subconscious mind. It wears away old patterns. It creates new beliefs. And there's something deeply symbolic about 3. Throughout human history, 3 has been sacred. The Trinity: mind, body, spirit, past, present, future, birth, life, death, beginning, middle, end. 3 represents completeness, wholeness, unity. When you whisper for 3 seconds, you're aligning with something ancient, something universal, something that resonates in the deepest part of the human soul. In 3 seconds, you can plant a seed that grows for a lifetime. In 3 seconds, you can speak eternity into time. Never underestimate the power of brevity when it's concentrated with intention and feeling. So now you understand the why. You understand the principles. You know why feeling matters more than words. You know why effort prevents healing. You know why your body is always listening. You know the difference between hoping and knowing. You know why 3 seconds is perfect. But understanding alone won't heal you. Knowledge without application is just entertainment. So now, we practice. Now, I give you the exact steps, the precise roadmap, to make this your reality. Let's begin with your first week. This is your foundation. Everything builds from here, so pay close attention. During your first 3 days, your only job is to choose your whisper. I'm going to give you several examples, and you're going to choose the one that resonates most deeply with you. Don't overthink this. Your intuition knows what you need. For physical pain, you might whisper, "Every cell radiates comfort." Or, "My body knows perfect ease." For anxiety, you might whisper, "Peace is my natural state." Or, "I trust life completely." For chronic illness, you might whisper, "Every cell remembers perfect health." Or, "Divine intelligence flows through me." For insomnia, you might whisper, "Deep rest restores me." Or, "Sleep comes naturally and easily." For depression, you might whisper, "Life force fills every cell." Or, "Joy is my birthright." For chronic fatigue, you might whisper, "Energy flows freely through me." Or, "Vitality is my true nature." Write down 3 or 4 options that feel right for your situation. Then say each one out loud. Notice how your body responds. Does one of them make you feel a little lighter? A little more hopeful? Does one of them feel like relief? That's your whisper. Choose the one that makes your soul sigh with recognition and say, "Yes, this is true." Once you've chosen your whisper, write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it. On your nightstand, on your bathroom mirror, in your phone as a reminder. You want it to be effortless to remember. Especially, in those first few weeks, when you're building the habit. On day 4, you establish the ritual. This is crucial. Your subconscious mind loves routine. Set a gentle alarm for the morning, or simply use that first moment when you wake up. Don't reach for your phone. Don't start planning your day. Sit up in bed. Take 3 deep breaths to calm your nervous system. Then whisper your phrase, with feeling. 3 seconds. That's all. Feel the truth of it. Don't analyze whether it's working. Just whisper, and release. In the evening, before you sleep, same process. Sit on the edge of your bed, or lie down comfortably. 3 deep breaths. Whisper your phrase with feeling. 3 seconds. Then let it go. Let your subconscious mind work on it while you sleep. Keep a simple journal, if you want. Just the date and 2 check marks: morning done, evening done. No need to write paragraphs. No need to analyze. Just track your consistency. Now let me tell you what not to do, because this is where most people sabotage themselves. Do not check your body for results after each whisper. Do not scan your symptoms to see if anything changed. Do not analyze whether it's working. This is like planting a seed, and then digging it up every day to see if it's growing. You'll kill it with your interference. Do not add extra affirmations. Thinking more is better. More is not better. Consistent is better. Simple is better. 3 seconds, twice daily, done with faith, is infinitely more powerful than 30 minutes of affirmations Done with doubt. Do not tell everyone about your practice. This is sacred. This is between you and your body. When you talk about it too much, you invite other people's doubts and skepticism, and that can weaken your faith. Keep it private. Keep it sacred. And do not beat yourself up if you forget some days. You're human. You're learning. If you miss a day, just start again the next day. No guilt. No shame. No story about how you're failing. You're not failing. You're practicing. And practice means sometimes you'll stumble. Just get back up and continue. Here's what you can expect in that first week. You might feel silly at first. That's completely normal. You're doing something new. Something unfamiliar. That feeling of silliness will pass. You might forget some days. That's okay. Just resume when you remember. You might feel a subtle peace. Or you might feel nothing at all. Both are fine. Trust the process. Not the immediate feeling. Your subconscious is working beneath your conscious awareness. The 3-second whisper plants the seed, but we must tend the garden. Here's how to support your healing throughout the day. I call this supporting the whisper. These practices work alongside your morning and evening whisper to create an environment where healing can flourish. First practice, language awareness. Start noticing when you speak negatively about your body. And you will. We all do. It's habit. But now, you're going to gently interrupt that habit. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm so broken," or "My body hates me," or "I'll never get better," pause. Just pause. Take one breath, then reframe it gently. "I'm healing," or "I'm learning to heal," or even, "I'm working on this." You're not forcing fake positivity. You're not pretending everything is perfect. You're simply being kinder in how you speak to yourself. You're being more accurate. Because the truth is, if you're breathing, you are healing. Your body heals constantly. It's just healing slowly in some areas. So speak that truth. Second practice, the gratitude scan. Once a day, maybe during lunch or in a quiet moment, close your eyes and scan through your body. Find one thing, just one thing, to appreciate. Maybe your legs that carry you. Maybe your hands that can hold. Maybe your ears that let you hear music. Find one thing and silently, or audibly whisper, "Thank you." This simple act does something powerful. It builds partnership with your body instead of war. Your body feels appreciated and responds with more cooperation, more vitality, more healing. It's like any relationship. Appreciation creates connection. Connection creates flow. Flow creates health. Third practice, the release ritual. Throughout the day, you might catch yourself obsessing about your symptoms, checking them, worrying about them, fearing them. When this happens, place your hand on your heart, feel the warmth of your own hand, and say, silently or aloud, "I release this to my inner healing intelligence." Then visualize handing your concern to a wise, loving presence inside you. Some people imagine a ball of light in their chest. Some imagine a wise old version of themselves. Some imagine divine presence. Choose whatever feels right to you. But the key is this. You're consciously letting go. You're trusting that the intelligence that heals your cuts without your conscious effort is handling this too. You're getting out of the way. Fourth practice, the evening review. Before your evening whisper, take just 1 minute to ask yourself, what went well with my body today? Not what went wrong. Not what still hurts. What went well? Maybe you had 10 minutes of less pain. Maybe you slept through the night. Maybe you had energy to laugh. Maybe you felt peaceful for a moment. Find something. Even something tiny. This retrains your attention. Most of us have trained ourselves to focus only on what's wrong. We scan for problems. We magnify symptoms. This practice gently redirects your attention toward what's healing, what's working, what's improving, and what you focus on expands. Focus on healing, and you create more healing. These supporting practices don't take much time. Maybe 5 minutes total throughout your day. But they create the environment where your 3-second whisper can work its magic. They turn your whole day into a healing practice, instead of just 6 seconds. Now, let me address something important. There will come a day, maybe in the first week, maybe in the second or third week, when doubt arises. You'll think, this isn't working. Nothing is changing. I'm wasting my time. This is normal. This is expected. This is actually a sign that change is beginning, because your old patterns are feeling threatened and fighting back. When this happens, here's what you do. First, acknowledge the doubt. Don't fight it. Don't feel guilty about it. Just notice it. Say to yourself, I notice I'm doubting. That's okay. My conscious mind is scared. It likes the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. Doubt is just fear of change. Second, return to the why. Remember the principle. Remember that your subconscious mind doesn't work on your conscious timeline. Remember that healing may be happening invisibly, before you see visible results. Remember that your job is consistency, not controlling the outcome. You can't force a flower to bloom faster by pulling on the petals. You can only water it, and trust. Third, adjust if needed. Is your whisper still feeling true to you? Sometimes as we evolve, we need different words. If your current whisper feels stale or uncomfortable, choose new words. There's no penalty for changing. Your subconscious understands the intention, not just the specific phrase. Fourth, check your effort level. Are you trying too hard? Are you forcing? Are you gripping? If so, soften. Return to gentleness. Return to ease. Return to the whisper, not the shout. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves by doing too much, by caring too intensely. Step back. Breathe. Trust. Fifth, remember the stories. Margaret and her tumor. Robert and his insomnia. Danny and his stutter. They were ordinary people, just like you. Their bodies listened. So will yours. Not because you're special, or chosen, but because this is law. This is how the subconscious mind works for everyone. The mantra for doubt is this: I don't have to believe it will work. I only have to believe it's worth trying. And it's always worth trying. Always. Because the alternative is to give up, to accept suffering as permanent, to stop reaching for healing. And I know you're not ready to do that. You wouldn't be here, watching this video, if you were ready to give up. So, when doubt comes, and it will come, meet it with gentleness, meet it with understanding, meet it with patience, and then return to your whisper, return to your faith, return to your practice. Now let's talk about making this a lifestyle. Because this isn't just a technique you use for a few weeks and then abandon. This is a new relationship with your body. This is a new way of being. In month 1, focus on the foundation. Morning and evening whispers consistently. Start the supporting practices. If you want, keep a simple journal, once a week. Just note any changes you've noticed. Physical, emotional, mental, even subtle things. Better sleep. Less anxiety. Moments of peace. More energy. These are all signs that your subconscious is listening, that change is happening beneath the surface. In month 2, the deepening happens. By now, the whisper should feel natural, not like a task. It should feel like brushing your teeth, like something you just do. Notice if your habitual self-talk has shifted. Are you speaking more kindly to yourself throughout the day? Are you catching negative language more quickly? Are you reframing more easily? These are all signs of integration. Also in month 2, start celebrating small improvements. Don't wait for complete healing to acknowledge progress. If your pain decreased from a 9 to a 7, that's huge. Celebrate it. If you slept 1 extra hour, that's wonderful. Celebrate it. If you felt joy for 5 minutes, that's beautiful. Celebrate it. Celebration tells your subconscious mind, yes, this is the direction we're going. More of this, please. Month 3, and beyond, is embodiment. By now, if you've been consistent, the whisper is part of you. You might find yourself thinking in these new terms automatically. You might notice your body feels like an ally, instead of an enemy. You might notice you trust yourself more, trust life more, trust the healing process more. Continue your practice as long as needed. And here's the beautiful thing. Even after you heal, even after your symptoms are gone, continue the whisper as maintenance. Continue it as a prayer of gratitude. Continue it as a way of staying connected to your body's wisdom. Your body loved being spoken to this way. Don't abandon the conversation after healing happens. Make it a lifelong practice. The lifestyle shift is this. You're no longer fighting your body. You're no longer at war with yourself. You're in partnership. You listen to your body's signals. You respect its needs. You speak to it with love. And it responds with health, with vitality, with cooperation. This is how we were meant to live. This is the natural state. We just forgot. And now, you're remembering. Over time, you'll instinctively know what your body needs. You'll feel when you need rest, when you need movement, when you need nourishment, when you need silence. You'll trust those feelings, instead of overriding them. You'll honor your body, instead of forcing it. And your body will reward that trust with ever-deepening health. The signs of true integration are these. You catch negative self-talk immediately, and redirect, without effort. You feel genuine compassion for your body, even when it's struggling. You trust the healing process even without visible proof. The whisper becomes as natural as breathing. You no longer question whether it works. You just know it does. My dear friend, even after you heal, continue the whisper. Make it a prayer of gratitude. Your body loved being spoken to this way. Don't abandon the conversation. This is a lifetime practice, not a temporary fix. This is a new way of being in your body, a new way of being in the world. Let me share something with you that I discovered in my own journey, something deeply personal. There was a time in my life when I struggled with my own health challenges. I was teaching thousands about the power of the subconscious mind, writing books, giving lectures, and yet privately, I felt like a fraud. Why? Because I was experiencing symptoms that I couldn't seem to heal. I would stand before audiences and speak with such certainty about healing, and then go home and lie awake at night wondering why my own body wasn't responding. The breakthrough came on a quiet Sunday morning. I was sitting in my study, frustrated with myself, when I realized something profound. I was shouting at my body. Not literally, but energetically. I was using force. I was commanding. I was trying to make healing happen through sheer willpower. And in that moment, I understood what I had been teaching others but hadn't fully embodied myself. My body didn't need more force. It needed more love. That morning, I whispered for the first time with real gentleness. I placed my hand on my heart, and I whispered. Divine intelligence flows through every cell. And I felt something shift. Not in my symptoms. In my relationship with my body. I stopped being a general commanding troops and became a gardener tending a garden. I stopped demanding and started inviting. I stopped forcing and started allowing. Over the following weeks, my symptoms began to change. Not dramatically at first, but gradually, gently, like snow melting in spring. And I realized that all those years of teaching had been preparation for this moment of true understanding. The 3-second whisper works not because of the words, but because of the energy behind the words. It works because it's an act of love, not an act of war. I share this with you because I want you to know that doubt is part of the journey. Struggle is part of the journey. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have unwavering faith from day one. You just have to be willing to try, to practice, to keep returning to the whisper even when your mind tells you it's foolish. Because it's in that consistent return, that gentle persistence, that the miracle happens. Now let me tell you about another dimension of this work that most people overlook. The whisper doesn't just heal your body. It heals your relationship with uncertainty, with time, with patience. In our modern world, we've been conditioned to expect instant results. We want overnight shipping for our purchases, and overnight healing for our bodies. But healing operates on a different timeline than our impatience. The 3-second whisper teaches you to trust the invisible. You plant the seed, and you don't see anything for days, weeks, sometimes months. And yet you keep planting. You keep watering. You keep trusting. This practice develops a kind of faith that transcends your health situation. It becomes a faith in life itself, in the intelligence that orchestrates the seasons, that turns caterpillars into butterflies, that beats your heart, without your permission. When you whisper every day, without seeing immediate results, you're actually strengthening your spiritual muscles. You're learning to act on faith, rather than evidence. You're learning to trust the process, rather than control the outcome. And these are the very qualities that not only heal your body, but transform your entire existence. I've seen this in countless people I've counseled. They come to me for healing, and they leave with something far greater than healing. They leave with a new way of moving through the world. They become less anxious about everything, not just their health. They become more patient with their children, their spouses, their circumstances. They become more compassionate with themselves and others. The healing of the body becomes a doorway to the healing of the soul. This is why I say the 3-second whisper is not just a technique. It's a spiritual practice, disguised as a healing method. It's a way of communing with the deepest intelligence within you. The intelligence that some call God, some call the universe, some call consciousness, some call the subconscious mind. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you're opening a dialogue with something far wiser than your conscious thoughts. When you whisper every cell knows perfect health, you're not just talking to your cells. You're talking to the creative force that made those cells. You're aligning with the intelligence that created galaxies and atoms, mountains and molecules. You're tapping into the same power that grows an oak tree from an acorn. And that power, my friend, is unstoppable. It's patient. It's persistent. It's gentle. And it's always working on your behalf. Let me address something else that often comes up. People ask me, Dr. Murphy, what if I've had this condition for 20 years? What if the doctors say it's irreversible? What if I'm too old? What if it's too late? And I always give the same answer. Your subconscious mind doesn't know about time the way your conscious mind does. It doesn't care if you've been sick for 20 days or 20 years. It responds to the instruction you give it now. Right now. This very moment. You see, the subconscious mind exists in an eternal present. It doesn't judge your past. It doesn't worry about your future. It simply responds to what you impress upon it in this moment. So, every time you whisper, every single time, you're creating a new impression. You're giving a new instruction. And if you do this consistently enough, those new instructions become the dominant program. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s heal from conditions they'd had for decades. I've seen people told they have 6 months to live, still be alive, and thriving years later. I've seen medical impossibilities become medical realities. Not because I'm special, not because they're special, but because they understood this principle. It's never too late to give your subconscious mind a new instruction. Your body is replacing itself constantly. The cells in your stomach lining replace themselves every few days. Your skin replaces itself every few weeks. Your red blood cells every few months. Your entire skeleton replaces itself every 7 to 10 years. This means that the body you have right now is not the body you'll have a year from now. New cells are being created constantly. And those new cells are built according to the blueprint your subconscious mind holds. So when you whisper, you're not trying to change the cells you have. You're giving instructions for the cells that are being created right now, in this moment, and in every moment going forward. You're providing a new blueprint. And the more you whisper, the more firmly that new blueprint becomes established. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. It's why 3 seconds twice daily for 6 months is more powerful than 3 hours once. Here's another profound truth. Your healing doesn't just benefit you. When you heal, you change the energy field around you. Your family feels it. Your friends feel it. Even strangers you pass on the street feel it. Healing is contagious in the best possible way. When you heal yourself, you give others permission to believe that healing is possible for them too. I've had people tell me that after they started their whisper practice, their spouse's chronic pain improved. Their child's anxiety decreased. Their dog became calmer. This isn't magic. This is the natural result of changing your energetic frequency. When you move from fear to faith, from resistance to acceptance, from fighting to flowing, everything around you responds. You become a healing presence, simply by healing yourself. This is why your practice matters not just for you, but for everyone in your life. Every time you whisper, you're not just healing your body. You're raising the vibration of your home, your workplace, your community. You're adding more light to the world. You're proving that healing is possible. And in a world full of suffering, that proof is a precious gift. Now, let me give you some additional wisdom for specific situations. If you're dealing with acute pain, something that's happening right now in this moment, you might feel frustrated by the idea of waiting for the whisper to work. Here's what you do. In the moment of pain, instead of fighting it, breathe into it. Place your hand on the area that hurts and whisper, "This is healing. This is temporary. Divine intelligence is working." Just 3 seconds. Then breathe and relax as much as you can. The pain might not disappear immediately, but your relationship with it changes. You stop resisting it, and resistance is what makes pain worse. You start working with your body, instead of against it. Over time, you'll notice that pain becomes less consuming, less frightening. It becomes a sensation that comes and goes rather than an enemy you're constantly battling. If you're dealing with mental or emotional suffering, anxiety, depression, grief, the whisper works the same way, but the words might be different. For anxiety, try, "Peace flows through me naturally." For depression, "Life force fills every cell." For grief, "I am held by love greater than my loss." These whispers don't deny your feelings. They don't bypass your pain. They simply offer a truth that's bigger than your current experience. And here's something important. You don't have to believe the whisper completely at first. You just have to be willing to say it. Start where you are. If you can't believe I am completely healed, then start with something smaller. My body has the intelligence to heal. Can you believe that? Yes, you can. That's scientifically true. Start there. As your faith grows, your whisper can expand. For those of you dealing with conditions that affect your cognitive function, brain fog, memory issues, confusion, you might worry that you can't remember to do the whisper or that you can't focus for even 3 seconds. Here's my suggestion. Set multiple gentle alarms on your phone. Make the alarm sound peaceful, not jarring. When the alarm goes off, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just pause for 3 seconds and whisper. Even if you forget what you're supposed to whisper, just say, "My mind is clear. Divine intelligence guides me." That's enough. And if you miss the alarm, if you forget for days or weeks, that's okay. There's no punishment, there's no starting over. You simply begin again the moment you remember. Your subconscious doesn't keep a scorecard. It doesn't judge your failures. It simply responds to your current instruction. So give it a good instruction now, and now, and now. Every moment is a new beginning. For those dealing with multiple health issues, you might wonder if you need a different whisper for each condition. The answer is no. Choose one comprehensive whisper that addresses your overall well-being. Something like, "Every cell radiates perfect health," or "Divine intelligence restores my whole being." Your subconscious mind is intelligent enough to apply this instruction to every system that needs healing. You don't need to micromanage. You just need to give the general direction and trust the specifics to your inner wisdom. Let me also address the role of medical treatment in all of this. Some people think that using the whisper means they should abandon medical care. That's not what I'm saying at all. Medical care has its place. Medications, surgeries, therapies, these can all be valuable tools. The whisper doesn't replace them. It works alongside them. In fact, the whisper often makes medical treatments more effective because you're supporting your healing on both the physical and mental levels. Think of it this way. If you break your leg, you need a cast. But you also need your body's natural healing intelligence to knit the bone back together. The cast provides structure, but healing provides restoration. Medical treatment is the cast. The whisper is the support for your body's healing intelligence. Both have value. Both work together. I've seen people get better results from their medications once they start the whisper practice because they're no longer fighting the treatment with fear and resistance. I've seen people recover faster from surgery because they're supporting their body's natural healing response. The whisper doesn't make medical care unnecessary. It makes it more effective. However, I will say this. As you practice the whisper consistently, you may find that you need less medication over time. You may find that symptoms improve to the point where your doctor suggests reducing dosages. This should always be done in consultation with your healthcare provider, never on your own. But don't be surprised if healing happens on multiple levels simultaneously. Now, let's talk about what success looks like, because I think many people have unrealistic expectations. Success doesn't mean you wake up one morning and everything is perfect. Success doesn't mean you never have a bad day again. Success means progress, not perfection. Success means you're moving in the right direction, even if slowly. Maybe success means you have 5 minutes of peace instead of constant anxiety. Maybe it means you sleep 1 extra hour per night. Maybe it means you need 1 less pain pill per day. Maybe it means you smile for the first time in months. These are all victories. These are all evidence that your subconscious is listening, that change is happening, that healing is underway. Celebrate these small victories. Don't minimize them by saying, well, it's not much. Every improvement is much. Every moment of less suffering is a gift. Every step toward health is a miracle. Train yourself to notice and appreciate progress, rather than fixating on how far you still have to go. And understand that healing is rarely linear. You might have good days and bad days. You might improve and then plateau. You might feel worse before you feel better as your body detoxifies or releases old patterns. This doesn't mean the whisper isn't working. This means healing is complex, and your body has its own wisdom about the order in which things need to happen. Trust the process, even when it doesn't look the way you expected. Trust your body, even when it seems to be taking the long way. Your body knows what it's doing. It's been keeping you alive this long, against tremendous odds. It deserves your trust, your patience, your faith. Let me share one final story before we close. A story that beautifully illustrates everything we've talked about. There was a woman named Grace who came to one of my lectures about 10 years ago. She was in her mid-50s, and she'd been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition that was slowly destroying her joints. She was in constant pain, unable to work, barely able to care for herself. The doctors had given her medications that made her feel worse. She was desperate. She learned about the 3-second whisper at that lecture, and she started practicing it that very night. Her whisper was, "My body remembers wholeness." She chose those words because she couldn't quite believe she was healed, but she could believe that somewhere in her body's cellular memory, the blueprint for health still existed. The first month, nothing changed physically, but she kept whispering. The second month, she noticed she was sleeping better. Not pain-free, but sleeping. The third month, she had one day where the pain was significantly less. Just one day. But it was enough to give her hope. She kept whispering. By month 6, she was having more good days than bad days. By month 9, she was able to return to work part-time. By the end of the first year, her doctor ran tests and found that the markers for her autoimmune condition had improved significantly. He was baffled. She just smiled. But here's the part of the story that touches me most. Grace told me that the physical healing was wonderful, but what changed her life was what happened to her soul. She said, "Dr. Murphy, for the first year, I whispered those words, 'My body remembers wholeness,' and I didn't really believe them. I just said them because I had nothing else. But somewhere around month 8 or 9, something shifted. I realized I did believe them. Not because my symptoms had disappeared, but because I had experienced myself whispering every day for 9 months. That persistence, that faithfulness to myself, that was wholeness. I had proven to myself that I could keep a promise. That I could love myself enough to try even when I didn't see results. That was the healing that mattered most. You see, my friend, the whisper heals on levels you can't even see yet. Yes, it can heal your body, but more importantly, it heals your spirit. It heals your self-trust. It heals your relationship with uncertainty. It heals your ability to love yourself through difficulty. And those healings are perhaps the most profound of all. You now have everything you need. The whisper, the timing, the feeling, the supporting practices, the protocol for doubt, the understanding of why it works, the faith that it can work for you, everything. So what's left? Just one thing. Your decision. Will you trust this process? Will you give it the time it deserves? That's what matters now. My dear friend, we've covered so much ground tonight. Let me distill it down to what matters most. Your body is not your enemy. It has been listening to you every moment of your life, faithfully following the instructions you've been giving it mostly unconsciously. The 3-second whisper is your way of taking conscious control of that conversation. Remember, your subconscious mind speaks one language: feeling. Your whisper must be felt as true, not hoped to be true. It must be simple, present tense, positive, and repeated consistently, without force or strain. The law of reversed effort teaches us that healing comes through allowing, not forcing. Whisper with gentleness. Trust with patience. Release with faith. You don't need to believe it will work. You only need to be willing to try. Your body wants to heal. It's designed to heal. You're simply removing the obstacles you unknowingly placed in its path. 3 seconds in the morning. 3 seconds in the evening. That's all. But those 6 seconds, done with faith, with feeling, with consistency, can change your entire life. So tonight, before you sleep, I want you to whisper this with me. Even if you create your own whisper tomorrow. Close your eyes, if you're somewhere safe to do so. Take a deep breath, and whisper with me now. Every cell in my body knows perfect health. Divine intelligence flows through me now. I am healing. I am whole. I am free. Feel those words. Don't just say them, feel them in your bones. Let them sink into your heart like warm light. This is your truth. This is your birthright. This is your reality, even if your eyes don't see it yet. Your subconscious mind is listening right now. It's been listening this entire time we've been together, and it's already beginning to reorganize, to rebuild, to remember the perfection that is your true nature. Now, my friend, if this message has touched your heart, if something inside you whispered, yes, this is true, then I ask you to do 3 simple things. First, subscribe to this channel, so you can continue receiving these teachings. There is so much more wisdom to share, so many more keys to unlock the power within you. Second, if this resonated with you, if you felt even a spark of hope, click that like button. It helps this message reach others, who are suffering, who are searching, who need to hear that healing is possible. And third, share your experience, in the comments. Tell me, what will your 3-second whisper be? What condition are you healing? And as the weeks pass, come back and share your progress. Your story will inspire others. Your healing will give others courage. You are not alone on this journey. We are a community of believers, of healers, of people who refuse to accept that suffering is permanent. Go now, my dear friend. Whisper to your body. Speak the language it understands. And trust with every fiber of your being, that you are heard, you are loved, and you are already healing. Until we meet again, may peace be with you, may health be your reality, and may your body finally hear the truth of who you really are. Good night, and God bless you.